Yeah, welcome into the Friday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Hope everybody's off to a great start to their day. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Let me be the first one to tell you, we got a whole lot going on the program today. We did not connect with Charles Robinson yesterday. He will be with us today at 7:30. We got TD coming up at 8. We got Burke Nihill, president and CEO of the Tennessee Titans, at 8:30. We got all that going on. There's an SEC tournament going on, including a matchup with Vanderbilt and Tennessee that we're going to get into. The Titans unveiled their new uniforms last night. There's a lot happening. By the way, the Predators blew a game last night, too, against Vancouver, where they were up 3-1 in the third period and then lost in a shootout. So a lot of stuff going on out there. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. And Casey Alexander is moving on from Belmont as the new coach at Kansas State. Throw that in there.
There's also that. We could have a 7-hour show today.
Wow. We could, but let's not.
No, we're not going to do that. We don't want to work that hard. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Doing just fine, thanks. Another chilly morning out there, so be prepared. Have the jacket ready. It's supposed to be, I think, a little bit warmer today.
Yep.
60s. Nice weekend. Some storms maybe Sunday, and then we're back to our coldness. So we got a couple of days next week early on. Not looking forward to it.
It's true.
But doing good. Happy Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. Thanks.
I didn't even mention, Joe, the Players' Championship's going on again today. I mean, there's more golf to watch today. There's a lot happening on the program.
My goodness.
And Wilt Chamberlain's in the news once again.
Is he?
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has passed him for the longest streak in NBA history of 127 straight 20-point-plus games.
Okay. Is there any video of Chamberlain ever getting 20 points in a game, Joe? Can you confirm it or not?
I don't know. Do we know that record is true? Did Wilt Chamberlain actually exist? I don't know. Are these photos doctored?
Good stuff there.
We've also got weekend winners and a Rob Rant today.
We also have that too. So that's all coming up here pretty shortly. Joe, we will get into this in more detail later in the program. Quick take. I like the Titans uniforms. I do. I think they're cool. And, they've obviously leaned into the Oilers color scheme here, and we knew that was coming up. But now that I have seen the full uniform and, the mock-up, and then Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Ward walking out there last night at their event, I think they're pretty cool looking. I would have gone, like most people, I look at the helmet. I would have probably liked to have seen like a red face mask rather than a white face mask. But I've been consistent on this, so I can't sit here and complain about it now. I think the uniforms that they're just coming out of were the worst uniforms in the National Football League. So anything they would have done would have been an upgrade to me. I'm happy with the uniforms that I saw.
They're good-looking uniforms. And that's the bottom line. I think they look really good. It is, I think every time they wear the throwbacks or the Oilers, over the years, there's a lot of anger I see around the league. Obviously, like from people like J.J. Watt and stuff, but even just I think NFL media in general, there's just some people who are just furious with the idea of like the Oilers, even though that's what this franchise is, being utilized like that. So I'm interested to see like the reaction to this now being their, what they are every single week. The bottom line is the Oilers uniforms are some of the best in the history of the NFL. So, go ahead and it's yours. Use it.
Yeah, use it. And they've modernized it, and they've obviously got the new logos to go along with it. I'm not as crazy about the new logos, but the logos are logos. The jerseys look good, so we'll get into that throughout the show today as well. Joe, we already have one texter asking how day 2 of the basketball tournament was, and how are the jeans doing as of yesterday?
I didn't wear jeans. I did find some nice billowy khakis to wear. I had a nice little khakis and a nice little quarter zip sweater on a cold day. But pork tenderloin at 10 a.m. But they had chicken and waffles up there. I did not eat I didn't get the waffles. I didn't get the syrup, the whipped cream, or any of that stuff. And then throughout the day, I continued to graze like a buffalo.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, but for the most part, so the problem is too, since the problem is then you get home, and have you ever had these gushers before?
You talking like fruit gushers?
Yeah, they're like little fruit snacks, but they have so
they're awesome.
Yeah. Well, except that you get home and Caroline has these in the house to take to school, and then all of a sudden I just crush 4 bags of them, and it's just like, why? Why do you do that?
Hey, in your defense, they're pretty good.
This is becoming a real
problem
confessional for me.
Why would I do something like this? Well, we saw Tennessee win against Auburn yesterday. Nice comeback from the Vols. And we've got Tennessee and Vanderbilt coming up today. So, Joe, before we get into Tennessee and Vanderbilt, your thoughts on the Vols coming from behind and taking down Auburn yesterday and taking down Stephen Pearl, who got a technical in the process.
I will tell you, I'm right across, as you know, where I sit, right across from the benches and close to the action. And I must say, it got real personal yesterday between Stephen Pearl and I think it's Joe Lindsay is the name of that ref. And Tennessee fouled the crap out of Auburn about 3-4 times during that run. I couldn't believe they didn't call any fouls. He lost his mind, and he actually started staring at it's right in front of us is the commissioner for hoops and the official coordinator officials for the SEC. He just started staring at them like, are you serious? But that was the side story of the whole thing. But the bottom line is Tennessee at times still is I look at them and I'm like, man, they just don't have enough offense. It's just, they go through these stretches and it's like, oh God, can anybody, make a play, create a shot, hit a shot. Good thing they have Nate Ament because he was really good yesterday. I mean, the whole minutes restriction thing, I guess you can throw that out the window. Rick Barnes after the game was like, yeah, I didn't even listen. I don't know. And he was like, nah, I don't want to hear it, blah, 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 and they just went with him. But he looked good. I mean, he looks fine. Now, you might be talking about, you could be talking about 4 days in a row. You certainly talking about 2. Like. Yeah, and I get that. But it didn't look to me like he was laboring or feeling it at all. And obviously he carried them to that win. So it's tough for Auburn. Now they're sitting there exactly on the bubble. That'll be interesting. We're all looking for Auburn and Miami of Ohio in the first 4. I'm here for it. But good win for Tennessee, good comeback. And it's fun that we're going to get Tennessee Vanderbilt now. And I'm excited for that game today.
Yeah, it should be good. Vanderbilt, a 1.5-point favorite on the FanDuel Sportsbook on the ESPN app. So a lot, basically a pick 'em, but 1.5-point favorite for Vanderbilt. And obviously they've gotten the rest here. Tennessee played yesterday. So you're talking about the second game in a couple of days for Tennessee. And the rubber match between the Vols and the Doors. So, Joe, each team has won on the other's home floor, and now we have a neutral site game at Bridgestone to determine who gets bragging rights between Vanderbilt and Tennessee. So you've seen them play against each other twice. Ament back in the fold for the Vols this time around. What do you make of the matchup today that we'll see in the SEC tournament between the Vols and the Doors?
Yeah, I went on with DVD yesterday from Bridgestone, and actually it was down to the second because I had a nice little chat with Rick Barnes after their game. I was getting some stuff from him for a colleague for a different story that they're doing. It's always great to talk to Reverend Rick. But it was like I'm talking to him and it's like, it's like seconds away, and then it boom, call me, got on there. And Willie asked me the question that I think is maybe the most interesting thing about Chandler Bing from Vanderbilt, of course, incredible name, as we all know. I think that he's the guy. I think he is the guy, and I think Vanderbilt's a little different Really, we haven't seen it because he has emerged more since they played here. And of course, Ament didn't play in the last game. Chandler Bing, maybe the guy who is their chosen attempted stopper of Nate Ament, freshman, but I think he's got the chance to be a really special, almost like a Meshack kind of defender. You know what he did for Tennessee in terms of being able to guard a big athletic wings, which a lot of times are the best scorers on opposing teams. So that's the matchup I'm looking for today. I think we'll see a lot of it, and yeah, I think it's does a role player hit some shots and make the difference today? Tennessee completely took Tyler Nickel out in Vanderbilt. A lot of teams have been trying to do that. We know who the stars are for these teams. The two guards for Vanderbilt. Again, Nickel scores a lot. We know it's obviously Gillespie and Ament. Is there a role player on either side who can get going? Estrella was huge against them, at home. I think that's when it might come down to, that third/fourth guy for one of these teams that ends up getting some big buckets.
We are off and running on Robby and Rexrode. We got Vanderbilt, Tennessee coming up later today. We got the Titans unveiling their new uniforms. We got a very loaded show on the program today, as we've mentioned. We'll take your thoughts throughout. 615-737-1025. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Right Time HVAC, Cromwell Media teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms, or do you need a fix to get you ready for summer? Nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue. Tell us your story. You can enter today at theGameNashville.com/HVAC, and you can win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC. Right Time HVAC, locally owned and operated. There's never a wrong time to call Right Time. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. If you're checking out the video stream right now, we had the Tennessee Titans stop by and drop off a jersey, some new swag with the new logo and all sorts of stuff going on. So we appreciate that. We will continue to show off some of the things that are in our little goodie box throughout the show here. But like I said, I really like the new jerseys, Joe. I do. I think they're cool. I mean, it's like when you told me that you're going back to the Oilers colors, it's going to be hard to screw that up, going back to the Oilers colors in my mind.
Yeah. No, that's a nice jersey, man. It's a clean, as the kids say, it's clean. It's a clean look.
It is. So we will get into that throughout the show. Like we said, Burke Nihill, president and CEO of the Titans, will be with us at 8:30. We'll take your thoughts on the new jerseys for the Titans throughout the show. Charles Robinson coming up at 7:30 on the program here today as well. So if you're Vanderbilt, if you're Tennessee, when it comes to, I mean, look, it's the SEC tournament. Obviously, you want to go as far as you can in the SEC tournament. What do we think is at stake for the rest of this tournament for Vanderbilt and Tennessee when it comes to seeding, where things could end up, and how things shake out here for both of those two teams?
Well, let's see. I want to make sure that I have this correct because, now we're in the world of daily brackets, which is really a fun thing. Let me tell you something. The daily brackets,
I'm sure,
on top of covering the tournament. So Vanderbilt, I have as a 4 right now, as a 4, and I have Tennessee as a 5. Like I said, I think yesterday, does it matter that much to be a 4 over? To me, if you can get to a 3, now that is valuable. You can get to a 3, then you're talking about you don't have to, because this year especially, like the ones are so powerful. We pretty much know who the ones are. I guess it's possible, like if Kentucky beats Florida today, and then UConn gets a win over St. John's and wins that rubber match, could UConn come back and take the one? Sure, but the ones, and especially I just think Florida right now, the way they're playing, you just want to avoid them. And obviously, if you're a 3, you can do that. Can either of these teams get to a 3? I mean, I have my doubts. I have my doubts right now, especially because even some of the teams ahead of them have already won, like in the Big 12, those teams. So I don't, seeding-wise, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think they're both going to be 4 or 5. Like if Tennessee would have lost yesterday, they might have dropped to a 6. And by the way, you could make the case, because if you're a 6, now you're with the 3, right? So it's kind of the same thing. You are on the other side of the bracket of the ones, but you're playing starting out with an 11, and then obviously you're going to play one of the 3s to even get to the Sweet 16, right? So I think Tennessee's pretty solidly a 5 now. I mean, I have them in San Diego. Shout out to the Tennessee Beat friends who would get to go to San Diego and play in McNeese, in the first round. And I've got Vanderbilt, like I said, I got them as a 4. And, I got them out in Portland playing Sam Houston in a 4-13 game. But, Tennessee would be matched up with Virginia in the second round as a 4. Vanderbilt would be matched up with Texas Tech as a 5. Texas Tech, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, with a stupid court at the Big 12.
They're changing it back.
These idiots. I mean, Tony Petitti and Brett Yormark should go on like Celebrity Idiot Jeopardy and just see if either of them gets a question right. I mean, I don't understand. Jeez. Yeah, that was mean. But Yormark is coming out. They come out with this court and it looks ridiculous. and it's slippery. And Texas Tech's Christian Anderson hurt himself yesterday and said after the game, basically, if it was wood, it wouldn't have happened. And now they're switching the court to wood in the middle of the tournament. It's like
I'm seeing this court now, the LED court. That's fun.
It's just get out of here, man. So anyway, that Texas Tech, they lost JT Toppin, who is their best player, and they've obviously diminished as a team. And now Christian Anderson, or I think he'll be able to play in the tournament. But regardless, what's at stake for Tennessee and Vanderbilt? I think the biggest thing today is just winning that rubber match. I mean, it's a rivalry, and for both of them, it's playing well. I think Vanderbilt started to find some of its game with Duke Miles kind of getting back in the mix here. And then Tennessee, again, it's like, can they just avoid these like 8-minute droughts where it looks like they just don't have any chance of putting the ball in the basket? I did think that yesterday there were stretches where defensively Tennessee, when they flipped that game, it looked like Tennessee defense to me. And this team has not been, that highest level of Tennessee defense for a lot of the year.
They have not. And, I still look at Tennessee when tournament time comes around, and I wonder, like, are they just going to get stuck in a game offensively for an 8-minute stretch, and that's going to end up being what undoes them? Which basically, Joe, is kind of like the question we ask about Tennessee seemingly every year for the most part, except when Dalton Connect is wandering around out there. So in some ways it feels kind of similar. But, so much of this is matchup dependent, right? Like, what's your matchup going to look like in the tournament? But that's the one thing about Tennessee specifically that just scares me to death heading into the tournament is, are they going to run into about a 10-minute stretch where they've put up 8 points on the board? Like, that's not going to be good.
Yeah, because if you're able as an opponent to, corral Gillespie and just not let him get those clean looks from three, and you have someone who can at least, make Ament work hard for his shots. Yeah, there are other guys here and there that can get you a bucket. Carey can get you a bucket here or there. Boswell can get you, but he's not much of a shooter. Evans, really like him, but again, the shooting touch sometimes abandons him. I mean, you got the lob threat with Okpara, but that's, that it's just Estrella is a guy to me that he didn't play great yesterday, but I think he can be a guy you can throw the ball into, and he can do stuff for you, and he can face up and hit a jump shot too. That to me, he was great. They didn't have Ament. They needed something else. He really stepped up against Vanderbilt. I'll be interested to see if he can do that again today. It's a pretty good matchup for him.
Is this foot injury a thing still?
I mean, it did not appear to be any sort of, he wasn't on the injury report, and it didn't seem to limit him at all yesterday. So hopefully he's past that.
All right, Joe, real quickly, what do you make of Casey Alexander, who is set to become the next head coach at Kansas State? That deal has not been finalized yet, but it looks like it's going to happen probably today.
Yeah, it's done. I mean, it's one of the, with some of these things, it's just like HR stuff, which is why no one will say it on their, put their name on it yet. But I mean, I've talked to multiple people last night. It's done. It's happening. And, look, first of all, it's one of these things where I don't know that he takes this job, if the difficulty of being at a mid-major isn't what it is now, not that I think at some point he was destined to take a Power 5 job and try his hand, at that level. Good for him. I mean, Kansas State, I think, is a tough job. But it's not we've seen, I mean, Kansas State in the last couple of years, it has not gone well, as we know. It went downhill fast for them. They were in the Elite Eight just a couple of years ago. That same in New York when Tennessee was there. They invested, and they have invested. They want to win in basketball. And so he's a great coach, and he deserves this opportunity. And it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. Hopefully they give him that investment. And I mean, you're going to see, the Big 12 is going to see some really, really fluid and efficient offensive basketball from Kansas State. Feel bad for Belmont. It's tough to lose him, and it's just, this is like right now, we're just in an era where it is tough at the mid-major level, and it's even harder than it used to be to hold on to your coaches.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Weekend winners coming up next here on the program. We got Terron Davenport later in the show. We got Charles Robinson later in the show. Burke Nihill later in the show. Busy program this morning. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
It's time to pick some winners. We hope. Robby and Rexrode have weekend winners for you. Now
on ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for weekend winners here on the program. Normally Fridays at 8:30. We got a lot going on today. We have Burke Nihill coming up at 8:30. Charles Robinson at 7:30. TD at 8. A lot of things happening on the program here today. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. A standings update in the competition. Rexrode 5-1 last week. He did not get his lock, but he did go 5-1. As Ian and I noted before the show, he also picked two games that didn't have a line straight up, and they both won. So potentially under protest, but that did happen last week. 5-1 for Joe Rexrode.
I think if we did lines, though, I think that like they would have covered.
I love operating, and I think they would have covered. That's what we're doing on the program.
You guys couldn't. I gave you guys the option of letting me do it. Or
Sounds
not.
like the man of guilt. 5-1 last week for Rexrode. No lock. Ian and I both went 2-4. Ian got his lock. I did not get my lock, which brings the overall standings. Ian Safar remaining in first place, 10-8 overall, 3-0 on his locks, 13 points. I am 9-9, 2-1 on my locks, 11 points. Rexrode back up to 9-9, 1-2 on his locks, 10 points. Very tight competition after Rexrode's somewhat cheating of a week.
Whatever.
We begin. Tennessee and Vanderbilt coming up today in the SEC tournament. Vanderbilt a 1.5-point favorite. Ian Safar, you are up first. Who we got between Tennessee and Vanderbilt?
I've not done a good job reading the whole Vandy Tennessee matchups lately, so I'm not really sure. But I'm going to go Tennessee, I think.
Ian going with the Vols.
I'm going with the Vols.
This one's tough. I will go with Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt gets the win today. I don't feel great about it. You know, it's the SEC tournament. And frankly, Joe, what I've noticed over the years at times, the SEC tournament can be an absolute crapshoot. So I'll go Vanderbilt today. That's my gut feeling on what's going to happen. So Vanderbilt minus the 1.5. Rexrode, who we got?
Yeah, a lot of times like a team plays one game and then the next day they have a little bit of an edge over the team that hasn't played yet in a conference tournament. But I'm going to go Vanderbilt too. It really is like a 50-50 thing for me, but I just feel like they, even with Amen coming back, I think that they win a close game.
So Vanderbilt, Joe going with Vanderbilt. I'm going with Vanderbilt. Ian going with Tennessee. Another interesting game today, Kentucky and Florida. Florida playing as well as anybody right now. They are a 10.5-point favorite against the Kentucky Wildcats. I'll start on this one. Give me Kentucky plus the 10.5. They ain't going to win, but I'll take them to cover the 10.5. So I'll go Florida by like 8 in this game. Joe Rexrode, who we got? Florida minus 10.5.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. I think I know the building will be Kentucky's. These people have again. They have shown out here, and Florida's going to win. But I think Kentucky. It's the third day for them. Sometimes you see the legs go a little bit on the third day, but I think that they're going to be really jacked up for this to try to make it a game, and I think they'll make it enough of a game to cover.
Ian Safar, who we got between the Gators and the Wildcats today?
I don't know. Sometimes on these big numbers, I wonder. So I'm going the opposite. I'm going to take Florida to cover the 10.5.
Going Florida minus the 10.5. The Nashville Predators taking on the Edmonton Oilers coming up on Sunday. Preds are up 3-1 last night against Vancouver in the third period, and then blew it and lost in the shootout against a team that, frankly, don't need to be losing to if you're going to make a playoff push here. So I guess on the one hand, you get the point. On the other hand, Joe, that's a point flushed down the toilet last night by the Nashville Predators. So not good stuff there. So the Oilers got crushed last night by Dallas. They're playing St. Louis tonight. Oilers 1.5 goal favorite in this one. Joe, who we got?
Yeah, and by the way, I know Johnny would like to do a rant. Vancouver.
Yes.
Based Preds fan on that one. That is a brutal loss point. Yeah, give me the Oilers.
Not much thought there from Joe. He's going right into the Oilers.
The Oilers are better, and they're going to beat them by a score of 5-2.
Ian, who we got between the Oilers and the Predators? Oilers 1.5 goal favorite.
The Draisaitl McDavid combo there is never good. Edmonton though struggling, huh?
Edmonton's got some problems.
7-2 last night, a loss.
They can't stop a puck.
Playing St. Louis tonight, so they have a chance for a rebound. Robby and I were looking at that pre-show meeting. Man, I'll take Edmonton.
Give me the Preds. Look, I don't think they're going to be able to slow down McDavid and Draisaitl because they never really do. But if my strategy for playing Edmonton on Sunday would be just put everything on net because the odds are 5 or 6 of them will go in. And their goaltending sucks. So I will go Preds to cover the 1.5 coming up on Sunday on the road in Edmonton. It would be just like them to win in Edmonton after losing in a shootout last night to Vancouver. So we'll see. The individual portion of the program, Ian Safar, your first individual selection.
Okay. I've been doing okay so far in Nashville SC. So I'm going to go back to the well this week. At Columbus, I think we suffer our first L. Coming off the midweek situation in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, played well, probably should have beat Miami and Messi, did not, left some opportunities out there. Quick turnaround on the road. Haven't lost yet. I think we're taking the loss. Nashville SC to lose at Columbus this week.
We need to go back and check the records if that's the first time in history that Ian's picked them to lose. But I kind of like it.
I think it might be.
I think it may be. Going with the loss against Columbus coming up this weekend. Rexrode, your first individual selection.
So St. Louis has been struggling a little bit. A-10 tournament today, they take on George Washington. They are giving 6.5. Give me the Billikens and make it my lock.
Guarantee. Lock it down.
Billikens win by double digits today and get their game in order here heading into the NCAA tournament.
Going down to the Billikens. Get some T-shirts out there. Give me Michigan State -5.5 against UCLA today. I'm going with Sparty and Izzo, who did not like the Michigan fans chanting "little brother." He's going to take it out on UCLA. Michigan State -5.5 against UCLA. Joe, your second. Yeah, Joe, your second individual selection.
Yeah, it's like he comes in here some days like, I'm not your assistant to the regional. And he's like, I'm nobody's damn little brother. Sometimes he gets upset. Okay, my second pick. Let's go. Let's stick in the A-10. I'm all over the A-10 today. Duquesne, the Duquesne Dukes out of Pittsburgh, PA, against VCU. VCU -8.5. VCU they are making a push. They are right on the cut line, right on the bubble to get in the NCAA tournament. I have them in right now. They're -8.5. They need style points. They need to do everything they can do to impress the committee. Give me VCU -8.5.
VCU -8.5 against Duquesne. Dozens will be watching. Ian, your second individual selection.
Okay, my lock this week. Guarantee. I think I'm going to go Purdue -3.5 versus Nebraska.
There we go. Locking down. And Purdue against Nebraska. 3.5 the line?
3.5.
-3.5.
-3.5 for Purdue. Okay. More tournament action. Always, tricky locking tournament games, but Purdue's the favorite. So even though they're the lower ranked team, so I'm gonna go with Purdue.
Take me back to the Edmonton Oilers who play St. Louis tonight. The over/under for goals is 6.5. Over. Lock. Guarantee. They're going to score a lot and they won't stop any. It's going to be 7-5 the final score tonight. Give me the over and I'll lock down on 6.5 for the Oilers and the Blues. Joe Rexrode, your final individual selection.
All right, I'm taking it to the ACC. Duke, if anybody checked this out yesterday, Duke's got 2 of its key players, probably 2 of its 4 best players, both in boots and the little scooters, and Caleb Foster might not be to the Final Four, might not be at all coming back, but they had to survive Florida State. They beat them by a point yesterday. Meanwhile, Clemson is just that one of those teams catches fire in a tournament. They beat North Carolina yesterday. They're kind of rolling. They're trying to move up that seed list. Duke is -11.5. I think Duke might win a close game, but I think Clemson is absolutely going to give them everything they want today. That's almost my lock, actually, as I talk through it. But just give me Clemson plus the 11.5.
Going with Clemson plus the 11.5 against Duke. Ian, your final individual selection.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the NHL tonight. Give me the Islanders, -1.5 versus the Kings. On the road, long trip for LA, early start time. They've been, up and down lately. I'm going to take the Islanders -1.5 versus the LA Kings tonight.
Islanders -1.5 against the Kings. Give me Ole Miss +10.5 against Alabama today in the
I almost
SEC
went the
tournament.
opposite.
I know. I don't feel great about it. Ole Miss ain't going to win, I don't think. But I'll take them +10.5. I'm all over these big lines in the SEC tournament. So I'll go the Rebels +10.5 against Alabama.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. Ole Miss could be the story of this tournament here. They're trying to be that team that just comes out of nowhere and makes a run, but they'd have to do 5 in 5 days if they, to steal a bid here. But Chris Beard is a good coach still, and they are playing really well.
Joe, what was your lock?
My lock is St. Louis.
There you go. There we go. Weekend winners, gentlemen. Good luck in the competition. Rexrode picked every game with lines this week, so that's good.
Hey, you guys approve all of my choices. I don't want to hear about this after the fact stuff. You put it in the complaint box for Chase McCabe.
Good stuff from Rexrode to pick games that have lines today. Good stuff. We'll have the Rob Rant coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
In what ways has he been a great addition?
Who's got the next question, Robby?
Need to invest quite that much on the back end.
We ask, we in. We love, we ask.
Nate Ament made him your daddy. Who cares about his short arms?
Nah, you better not lose this football game as I sit in the pool.
Your generosity is greatly appreciated, especially during this health inspection season.
I'm just reading the news here. Like I said, I'm Ron Burgundy. It is that time of the day. Time for the Rob Rant here on the program. Normally it's 7:45, but we got a lot of stuff to do today on the program, so we're moving it up to 6:45. Joe, let me get on the front end of this and just say that everything I'm about to say is completely subjective. So take that as you will. I don't know how you're complaining about these jerseys last night if you're a Titans fan. I really don't. I understand like that the overall theme, right, of are they leaning too much into the Oilers stuff? We're the Tennessee Titans. We're not the Tennessee Oilers. I could probably get behind that argument if that's the one you're making. But just the aesthetic of it and what they look like, it's pretty sweet. I mean, I got a new one on right now that the Titans dropped by this morning, a nice Jeffrey Simmons jersey that they presented us with here as a station. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's a beautiful jersey. I don't really know which one I like better, the home blue or the road kind of get up that they've got with the white. I think they both look pretty sick. So I think they have moved Joe from the worst jersey in the NFL to one of the better ones in the NFL with this switch here. So that I'm totally cool with. Now we can get into logos, and we've seen the primary logo I think for a few weeks now since it's been leaked, but a couple different ones last night, the N and the T that I guess you could read for the Titan or Tennessee, or you could read it for Nashville, Tennessee if you really want to, which some people did yesterday. But the logos are one thing. I think the jerseys look cool. Like I like the guitar strings on the sleeves of them. I think they're cool looking jerseys. It boggles my mind. Like every time this happens, Joe, and this is not a surprise, every time, first off, people get wrapped up in this uniform stuff, no matter what it is, whether it's, the Titans or any other team that comes out with uniforms. People love to get wrapped up in the uniform stuff. Yes. And I had a buddy send me some tweets last night of Titans fans, both like heavily for this and said it's the greatest thing ever, but a lot of Titans fans that don't like it. And I was like, I just don't know how you could watch what they've been wearing the last few years with that stupid dark blue helmet and the gray on the shoulder and all that sort of thing, and the numbers and the font being what it is. I just thought it was awful. And I think this is clean. I think you said it earlier best. It's a clean look. Yes, it's leaning heavily into the Oilers. I guess that's a personal preference thing because I've been wanting them to do this for a while now at this point, and I think it looks really good. I love the jerseys. I really do.
Yeah, look, I do too. They look great. And I think the Houston Oilers look is one of the greatest uniforms in the history of the NFL. And maybe I'd take that beyond the NFL in American pro sports. So, obviously, if you think that, which I do, and I think a lot of people think that, then you're going to look at this and say, man, that looks awesome. And I agree that they're just much better uniform combination than they had previously. To me, the best look they used to have was when they went with the light blue, the light blue jerseys. So now that's, they're leaning in. Now, I'm reading Kaharski's column, and he's talking about basically an identity crisis here, with this, and how, some people, and I've seen some fans complain. It's like this, they're supposed to be Tennessee Titans, not the Houston Oilers. And so, I mean, I understand that. But also I feel like whenever they did the Oilers, like people would just go nuts for when they wear the Oilers stuff. Right. I just ultimately it's their thing. They own it, and it's the best thing that they have available to them, So I think it's the right move. Like I said earlier, I know. I'll be interested to see what the reaction is around the league, because some people get really offended by this with the idea that like this should belong to the city of Houston.
There's definitely a lot of that.
Yeah,
I think nationally, it's like, hey, the Titans are in some identity crisis where they have to constantly throw back to Houston, and like, what is their obsession with the Oilers and all this kind of stuff? Like, they don't realize it's the same organization.
It's just their team. I mean, it's just,
well, they might realize it, but it's still, I think some of this is like, it's like the Cleveland Browns, right? Like they are able to start a new franchise and still be the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. Like, I like that as an NFL fan. I'm glad that happened. Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. And look, I mean, be cool if Houston, I guess if these people will let them keep this stuff and they could still be the Houston Oilers and whatever, but it's just not the reality. As long as there's a team wearing these jerseys in the NFL, I say thumbs up.
Yeah. Like I think they look great. The only complaint I have about, like, I guess the new setup is I would have liked to have seen red face mask. And that if that's the only complaint I have, then that's a relatively small complaint. Like, I don't know that I'm crazy about the new logo. Like, that'll probably take some time to grow on me. But Joe, you made this point about the Vanderbilt logo, right? Like, people went nuts when they changed the Vanderbilt logo a few years ago. And now I look at the Vanderbilt logo and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. That's fine. I mean, I don't even think about it anymore. So, like, I would imagine here in a couple of years, we're going to look at this Titans logo and be like, yeah, that's the Titans. So that part of it doesn't really bother me all that much. I mean, I would have liked to have seen them go with the white helmet, red face mask. But frankly, I'm just glad they're back to the white helmet. The dark blue helmet was awful, and I'm glad that they're back to the white helmet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the red. I like the red accent, so that was good. I don't have a problem with the logo. I kind of like the logo just on its own. I mean, I saw a thing on the, like showing what it'll look like on the new field, and
Yeah.
I think it looks pretty cool. It's one of those things that if you're not terribly offended by a new logo, then that's pretty good, because usually that's the default reaction. And then, like you said, it's just like, I mean, to me, I look at the Vanderbilt V. I prefer that significantly over the previous V. You know, and when it came out, I was like, yeah, that's fine. But I know some people some people just get really upset about the logo stuff. But I think people will quickly embrace that. So
I will say,
overall,
I do wonder, Joe, how Warren Moon feels about this. I mean, he talked about, it's the Titans, it's not the Oilers, so I don't mind unretiring number one. And now you're going to look out there and it's going to be, I mean, it's still the Titans, but it looks a lot like the Oilers out there playing in the number one for Cam Ward. So that part's interesting.
That's a good point. Cam Ward better play really well in that jersey.
Yeah, he better.
Make him feel better.
Warren comes in after next year and is like, hey, you're going to have to change your number, son. We're going back to retiring this thing. Sorry.
Yeah. How about just add a 1? You can be 11.
Yeah, exactly. 615-737-1025, our phone numbers. What do you think? What do you make of the uniform change for the Titans, the logo change, the rebrand that has gone on here? If you're watching on the YouTube stream, I've got the home jersey on that the Titans were nice enough to drop by earlier. We got some other stuff that they dropped off as well that I'll throw up there in the next segment as well. But the rebrand is out there. Titans fans in the building last night. Titans fans reacting online. What do you make of the rebrand for the Titans? More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We got a busy program today. Charles Robinson will be with us later this hour at 7:30. We'll get into the Titans and all things NFL with him. Terron Davenport at 8 o'clock. Burke Nihill, president and CEO of the Titans, will join us at 8:30 on the program today. We are taking your thoughts on the rebranding of the Titans, the uniforms unveiled last night. And if you're checking out the YouTube stream, I'm wearing a Jeffrey Simmons home jersey right now that they came out with and that he displayed last night. So I love them. I think they're really good. Again, I have, I guess, a bias heading into it. I thought the ones that they just had were bad. So anything they would have done, I probably would have liked better. But I think these are good. I know we have mixed opinions on those as well. So we'll take your thoughts. 615-737-1025. Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Tim to the program. Tim, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, guys, enjoy the show. I like the new uniform. I like the new logo. And, you know, Houston, they don't have any right to say anything. They could have kept the Oilers, but they didn't want them. And so as far as I'm concerned, the Titans can do what they want to. Houston just got to get over it. And the excitement the players had last night with Robert Saleh coming out and excitement, I'm excited about this coming season. I mean, it's different than what we've seen the last 3 or 4 years.
Thanks, guys. I agree. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. Joe, I think how mad it makes Houston and, frankly, the rest of the NFL is reason enough to wear them. I really do. I think you should lean into that if you're the Titans.
Now, I want to take issue with something he said. He said Houston could have kept him. I don't think that's accurate, is it? In fact, Bud Adams was going to just keep this as the Tennessee Oilers.
That's correct.
Then the reaction, caused them to change, but it's not like Houston did not get the option. And again, I'm not saying, this is the reality. The big picture of this is, I'm not a fan generally of NFL owners holding cities hostage and moving to other cities. It sucks. Now, also, I know that if you go back, there are different situations, and you do have to look at these on a case-by-case basis, and the whole thing with the Astrodome seems like, he was getting squeezed on that one. It was a pretty brutal place there at that point. But still, not a fan of it. But the bottom line is, if you own these teams, then you own these things, and you have the rights to this stuff. And I think it's smart to use something that whoever created these, they came up with something really good. So it's like you said, Robbie, many times, it is a major improvement over what they just had. Another thing, Robbie, real quick on this to the college board. Yeah, it's interesting. Like he just talked about this in terms of excitement for like the season with this. The last rebrand was a very different time for the franchise. It was, I guess, it was actually going into Vrabel's first year, right? But they had just won a playoff game. They were a good young team. There was excitement. There was reason to think the product in the field was going to be good. And I'm seeing some of this on the text line, which is basically like how I would react if one of my teams did this stuff, which is like, great, win football games. Someone was like, put pink leggings. Yeah, Lance, I don't care if they wear pink leggings, win football games. That's still the bigger deal here, But certainly, last night they put it together, man. They had what? Kyle Brandt out there. They had Eddie George out there. They did up the program.
Maybe Strunk was out there. Look at these beautiful uniforms we've come back with. I love them. Robert, why aren't you wearing one? Robert, you don't have any logos on. No logos from Saleh last night. He just wore his normal clothes. I kind of respected it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm no coach. Singing. I'm not wearing all this stuff.
No singing from Saleh, though.
No singing that
I
saw.
That's unfortunate.
I would say most of the reaction, Joe, that we've gotten, there's a lot of reaction rolling in. We appreciate it. Keep them coming. 615-737-1025. Most people that I have seen really like the jerseys. I think people are still getting used to / less enthusiastic about the logo. I have seen very few people that are complaining about the jerseys. The most common complaint about the jerseys I'm seeing on the text line are basically that there's not some form of a dark blue version of it, but that's about it. Like people,
Yeah.
Look, the jerseys are what they are. As you talked about, Joe, like there's obviously it's not directly identical, but it's pretty close to the Oilers jerseys. And it's one of the best jerseys in the history of the league. So, I do understand. We've seen some of this today. Like if you're a Titans fan that are like, we're the Tennessee Titans. We've been here for almost 30 years. Do we really want to start leaning back into Oilers stuff? Like we're the Titans, and it's not the same thing. And I get all that. Like if that's the way that you feel, I don't think there's anything wrong with being the Titans and using your former color scheme. I really don't. Like I think it's your franchise. It's a great color scheme. Frankly, in my opinion, they probably should have just kept the color scheme when they got here. And if you wanted to change the name, that's fine. But you should have kept the color scheme around. And I'm glad that they're leaning more heavily into this. Now, I still, at some point, would like to see them maybe lean a little bit more into the red than we have at this point, but maybe they'll get there at some point.
Yeah. Some people like the flaming thumbtack. I didn't, but some people do. Some people like the idea of two-tone blue, which is basically gone now. So, some people like that stuff. And I get it. I mean, it is stuff that you buy the apparel over time and things like that. And so, I mean, I'm not surprised that there's a mix of opinions here. Stephen from Clarksville says the new Houston Tyolers.
Sure.
He says they tried too hard, did too much hoopla, ended up with a mid-level ripoff of the Oilers with guitar strings. Amy Adams Strunk just can't get much right. So that's not everybody loves it, and that's fine.
I would argue that this is one of the things they've gotten the most right in a long time. I really would. Like I think they nailed this. Look that the rollout of it or whatever, like the party they threw last night. Whatever, that's fine. You throw it whatever way you want to. Like I know there were some Titans fans that were upset that it wasn't live streamed. Okay. So I get that. That's part of it. There were a lot of reporters in the building last night. I think you saw eventually like everything worth seeing from it. But again, like when the biggest question that I personally am having, Joe, is trying to figure out which one I like more, the home jersey or the road jersey, because I like them both a lot. I think that's a win. And again, this is all so subjective that like if you're mad about it, I can't stop you from being mad about it. But I think the majority of the people really like the jerseys.
Yeah, I think and it's also like younger generations too. It's like, I mean, there's less like consideration of that it's a rip off of the Oilers or whatever. It just like looks good, like it's going to always look good, and so there's that aspect of it too. But speaking of the reporters, I seriously have no clue what the hell was Kaharski melting down about. Oh, so you're not on Twitter. My God.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good for you. He had a complete meltdown about Andrew, and I still have no idea. I'm sitting there with Teresa Walker at the at Bridgestone, and we're all these Kaharski tweets just completely melting down, ripping Andrew for something. I don't know if he like threw out a tease or a picture, and Kaharski's losing his mind. We can ask him about it Wednesday.
We will.
Yeah, that between that and we got to make sure to introduce Tic Tac Titans earlier in the discussion. But yes, Kaharski lost his bleep yesterday.
Okay,
on Andrew. So yeah, I don't sick Jeff on him.
Yeah, watch out. It is funny. I've got the Jeff Simmons jersey on right now. I got friends texting me like, "How did you get this?" It's like, I had my ways. AKA the Titans drove up and handed me a box. So
did they bring in any food?
I don't think so. No food this time.
Okay.
The box is good enough.
Not that I need it. I'm just wondering.
615-737-1025. Our phone number. We'll take more of your reaction to the Titans rebranding from yesterday. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. SEC tournament scoreboard updates are driven by Toyota. Be listening for updates throughout the day today. Toyota, let's go places. Taking your thoughts on the Titans. By the way, Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of football offseason coverage here on 102.5 The Game. We'll have Charles Robinson coming up here in just a few minutes to get into what has been a busy week of NFL free agency. And we'll see how much Charles loves the Titans' new uniforms as well, or if he does. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. AB from Clarksville says, uniforms have been farting trash /cheeks /dog water since 99. We finally don't look like, and here's a bunch of emojis, but a clown face is in there. But Robbie's right. We need a red face mask. Look, with the original Titans jerseys, I kind of like them. I mean, they're good. So, like, I wouldn't mind those at some point being like an alternate or like a throwback. Like, I guess instead of wearing Oilers jerseys, when you throw back in the future, just wear like the 99 Titans jerseys. I'd be cool with that. So, like, I like the original Titans jerseys. I don't really think, like, when they rebranded last time and switched jerseys, I didn't really think there was much reason to do that. But then they did, and the jerseys they switched to, I just thought were absolutely awful. But these have always been better. Like, these jerseys, this color scheme is just better. So I'm glad that they're wearing it. There's nothing wrong with looking good out there. Now, go win some football games and look good at the same time. That'd be great.
Yeah. Now, the text line is popping as I thought it would on this topic, so I've lost this. But someone texted that they thought that D. Mace yesterday was disappointed that the Navy is lost. I've seen a lot of that, which is like, that is something that's like specific to the Titans.
Sure.
And that D. Mace was kind of like they sort of, it's like they got rid of that history, the history here. So, I mean, you got to respect, obviously, someone who was a great player for the organization for so long, and his feelings on that. I don't know. Like, again, the flaming thumbtack to me was just like, it just was. I just think it's a bad logo. Okay, but I understand that thought. On just the incorporation of that color in some way to still tie it to your own history since you've been in Tennessee.
Ken says, I absolutely hate the new look. There's no navy blue at all, which is symbolic to the Titans era. I'm fine with throwback to Oilers, but we're the Tennessee Titans, not the Tennessee Oilers. We have seen some of that, so I understand like the connection there. I would say this. It's one thing to me, and Joe, you may disagree, others may disagree with this, and that's fine. Like, I think it would be one thing, like, if the Titans had like some rich history of winning in their new look, right? Like, they got to the Super Bowl, which was great. And they've been to a couple of AFC title games in addition to the year they went to the Super Bowl, which is good. If they had won like 2 Super Bowls in the last 25 years, Joe, then I think there's more tradition and history and all that stuff that you point to at that point. The fact that they have it, the bottom line is this: like, if the Steelers changed their jersey significantly, right? Like, people would be losing their mind. I just don't think it's the same with the Titans. Now, you can disagree with that. That's fine. But I just think that there are, the history part of it. If you've won some championships, to me, that just hits differently. And that's a personal preference thing. I don't know. But I have no problem with them leaning more into the Oilers. And the other part of this is, like, again, I understand if you're here, you're a Tennessee Titans fan, but this is part of their history. That's the other thing. Like, it is part of their history, even though you don't necessarily connect it with the Titans part.
Yes, that's true. I agree with what you're saying. I think I would add winning, or you just have an awesome uniform.
Yeah.
Because I would submit to you the Detroit Lions. They are the trash organization, right?
Yeah.
But their uniforms are awesome. And so whenever they've done little tweaks, they put in little black outlines in the numbers, and people lost their minds up there, and they've done, it's like, your uniforms are awesome, even though you've mostly lost in them. Like, they're awesome. But there's also a time thing with that, right? It's also, you're talking about several more decades of something as opposed to here with this. So it's less than 30 years and with a kind of a mid uniform. and not a lot of winning. So yeah, like all that together, it's kind of like, well, it's easier to change things up if that's the case. But yeah, some people don't want to just feel like, okay, this is just all Oilers. I mean, again, that's what Kaharski wrote. I don't know that it was necessarily a critique from Kaharski, but he's not wrong. Like, this is a full embrace of the Oilers' history.
Why do we think their main the Titans' main rationale for kind of bringing this out right now? Do we think it's mostly just for like the new stadium rebrand?
I think so.
Or is it trying to like turn a page on the field and for the players' sake of trying to get these last handful of years out of their brain? Maybe it's a combo of both.
Yeah.
I'd assume it's more of probably the new stadium rebrand.
Well, yes, but I think both things, but also I think, I just think you're trying.
It hasn't been that long for like a total new uniform.
It's been less than 10 years. Yeah.
And that seems a bit much for an NFL team.
I think ultimately they think that this will appeal to more people too, right? Just as something to purchase.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's something that they have access to. And it's like, what do people, I mean, everybody does focus groups and studies and whatever. Like, when do people like absolutely lose their minds? Whenever the Titans wear those Oilers throwbacks, right? The reaction is just massive. So why not make that the norm? I mean, I think that's part of it too.
Ian, are you thumbs up or thumbs down on the new unis?
Overall, I'd say thumbs up. I've mentioned this before. The tie to the Oilers doesn't really do much for me. And the Houston, I don't really care about that. The whole throwback. I understand why they do it though, because for the Adams family, the baby blue was like the color.
Yeah.
And for Bud Adams, he loved that color. It was like his thing, the turquoise. And so I can see why Amy Adams Strunk and the ownership and everybody kind of really leans into it and really likes it. And like you guys said, if the fans like it, you got to go. I mean, it's not you. Sometimes they're like, "Hey, you don't listen to the fans. You end up being in the stands like the fans." But that's more on the field.
Right.
This is kind of the aesthetic stuff. Overall, I think it's an upgrade because the other ones were not very good. So I like them.
Overall, Joe, the guesstimate response as we kind of wrap this part of the conversation up before we get to Charles. My offhand, just quick poll that I've taken looking at the reactions that we've gotten, I'm going about 85% in favor. That's my number. About 85% heavily in favor.
I was going to say 80-20, but yeah, I can buy 85. I think it's right in that range.
Do we like the guitar string, the 3 or the 6 guitar string, or is that too much of a reach?
I'm not crazy about it.
Is that a little trying too hard?
Yeah, and I would say this both with the Titans rebranding and like the Predators numbers. I'm not crazy about the guitar string thing, but I don't hate it.
It's it's a nod to Nashville. Robert in Nashville says it's Amy. It's a cash grab, so people will go out and buy new jerseys. Yeah, I mean, teams do that. That's why all teams have these alternative uniforms too, right? So it's all a cash grab.
Yeah, I'm not sure she's unique in that with NFL ownership.
Yep.
Right. But it's the question of why this? That's what we're asking. Why this in particular? It looks good. The bottom line is, to me, it looks good. But some people like the old stuff, oldish, old new.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I do.
This is the old stuff.
It is.
Retro.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us coming up next. We'll get into a busy week of NFL action on the free agency front with him, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We'll have Charles Robinson coming up here in just a second. Terron Davenport will be with us at 8 o'clock. President and CEO of the Tennessee Titans, Burke Nihill, will be with us at 8:30. So looking forward to that. Coming up a little bit later in the show, a lot of your reaction to the Titans and their uniform change, and we'll get behind the scenes of some of that with Burke Nihill a little bit later in the program as well. So in the meantime, it's been a very busy week on the NFL free agency front. More moves continuing to trickle in for the Tennessee Titans, more connections to Robert Saleh on the defensive side of the ball and Brian Dable on the offensive side of the ball. So we're going to get into those moves with Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, who is about to join us here on the program. So looking forward to that. Joe, I can't wait to get Charles's thoughts on the Max Crosby situation too. So that is going to be fascinating. Matter of fact, let's bring Charles into the program. Charles on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Charles Robinson joins us every week from Yahoo Sports. Charles, good morning, buddy. How we doing?
What's going on, gents? One day later than usual. Obviously, I blew the Thursday show. Sorry about that.
You're a hardworking man. You're out there doing the work that we're not doing.
I had the moment from college where I rolled. I was in Los Angeles and I rolled over. I'm like, man, it's really light out right now. Like my phone alarm didn't go off. Like what time is it? It's way later than it was supposed to be. Sorry about that.
Wow, it's noon.
yeah. I was like the scream in the hotel room. I was like, oh my God, my phone died in the middle of the night and I have no idea what time it is, but it's way too light right now for me to be doing the show in Los Angeles.
That's awesome.
What are you doing? Are you surfing out there? What do you got going on out there?
No, I just had, some NFL stuff I was working on, kind of some meetings, all that good stuff. So, trying to grind, get through free agency as we go.
Here we go. I like it. So, Charles, let's start here. A two-parter for you. Number one, what do you make of the Titans uniforms that they've thrown out there that obviously harken back to the Oilers days? And number two, what do you make of what the Titans have done in free agency to this point, headlined probably by Wan'Dale Robinson, John Franklin Myers, and Alante Taylor? A lot of moves.
Yeah, I mean, the uniforms first and foremost, I live in Houston. It has not been a popular unveiling. I can tell you people in Houston are just upset. A lot of I've heard a lot of funny comments. I saw somebody called the logo the Toyota Prius logo of the NFL. Everyone's asking where the oil derrick is on the helmets, and if you want to play Houston Oilers dress up. Like, this is getting pretty extreme. I love obviously the color scheme. I've always loved that color scheme, but of course, you live in Houston. Everyone says that's the Houston Oilers love you blue, scheme. And, what are you doing? Like, just leave it alone. I don't have a problem with it. I like the navy blue as well too, though. It does not surprise me that this kind of leaked and got around early. I've been a part of leaking an early uniform once and got cussed out. Probably my worst cuss out ever from an NFL executive was leaking what a new logo and scheme was going to be. And I didn't think it was a big deal. And clearly the team thought it was a big deal. I went to social media and made the mistake of confirming what the next logo and scheme was. But I love the colors. I've always loved the colors. I grew up, in an era when, Warren Moon, and it takes me back to, obviously the Houston Oilers days. I don't have a problem with it. Everybody else in Houston does. I saw J.J. Watt even sound off. Like, you weren't even a Houston Oiler, man. Like, I know you played in Houston, but come on. Definitely, I'm sure a few of those will sell. How has it landed in the fan base? I have not seen
mostly
other
positive.
Than Houston fans complaining.
Mostly very positive. I mean, there are some people that are upset about, we're the Tennessee Titans, we're not the Tennessee Oilers and all that stuff. Yeah. But frankly, in my opinion, the jerseys that they just had, like the most recent iteration, were among the worst jerseys in the NFL. So anything they would have done would have been an upgrade. I think the number I threw out last segment, Charles, was 85% seem to love them.
Oh, well, then that's the landslide. I mean, that's most jersey changes, I swear, get absolutely hammered by the fan base. Like it's that's fantastic for the Oilers. And honestly, it's funny you asked me about the free agency for them. That's a team, the additions, I know, look, they get banged because it's like, why? I think I will say outside of Tennessee, I think you get a lot of people who are like, why are you adding all these, pieces? If you're Robert Saleh, you're, Brian Daboll, why are you adding all these pieces that you didn't necessarily have success with at previous stops? But I across the NFL, without even asking, certainly some of, the signings, I think people have been very, very positive about, the class. I mean, John Franklin Myers, Cordell Flott, some of the youth that I think is coming aboard has impressed people. Look, Wan'Dale Robinson, for what he is and what he will produce inside that offense. He's not going to be your number one wide receiver, but he'll be a target hog, very dependable piece for Cam Ward. I think the youth and some of the pieces that were added, I think it's impressed people in other places. The draft is going to be the key to really accentuating this class. I'm very, very interested to see what they do at the top of the first round, because really they can go in almost any direction with that number 4 pick. And I think it's thus far it's been positive, and I think people bang coaches too much when it comes to adding familiarity. Like one of the ways that you really launch your culture, one of the ways that you get practice on the rails as quickly as possible is to add pieces from your previous programs who know how you like to do things. They know how you want to run your practices. They know how you want to install your scheme. You can't just start over with a bunch of strangers who have to learn everything new on the fly. You have to bring in people who understand where the program is going and what you really want to set as your foundation. So I don't have a problem with adding pieces of familiarity. And again, like I said, it's some of the youth that was brought aboard and the talent as well. I think without asking people, what do you think of the Titans class, was certainly brought up the first couple of days. Like I had someone, be careful about how I describe it. It was a very, very, very good, very accomplished NFC front office without me, asking specifically about the Titans. Said they were very impressed with, some of the early pieces that the Titans brought in. I think Flott's the one that I'm really curious to see, how he develops, with the Titans, because there are definitely some people in the NFL. I think that's a extremely underrated signing. They really, really like him as a player.
That's very interesting. Okay. So the whole Ravens Crosby thing, I mean, first of all, a couple things on that. One, I mean, are you leaving any wiggle room at all that like there's anything legitimate about this with his knee? And then 2, if this is what it appears to be, like, is there any way something like this could be avoided in the future? Or okay, let me give you a third. Is there any way that the rest of the teams are gonna, like, whatever, blackball the Ravens or whatever? I mean,
right. Okay, that's a good place to start, actually. Hey, I mean, no. Like, it's like, I understand, aside from what it looks like, what it is, what we believe it is, all these things. I mean, no one's, at the end of the day, teams talk trash, and believe me, this is not like across the league, but no one's not doing deals with Baltimore all of a sudden because they're like, oh, that's just dirty pool. I mean, they've had a history of this. This has happened in the past, with in differing situations. Certainly nothing to this level. That's what makes this so wild, is that you really see it happen on this level of like talent, this level of contract, this level of like picks involved. It's at a tier that no one's ever recalled seeing something, like this, but no one's stopping their own, ability to move forward, or, if you're doing deals with Baltimore, you're doing it because you feel like it's in your own best interest. No one's going to all of a sudden cut off their nose, to spite their face because they're, oh geez, the poor Raiders. Like we feel like this is so terrible for the Raiders and Max Crosby. Nobody cares. I mean, the NFL, it's a brutal bottom line business, and you do what's best for you, and you really don't care how teams comport themselves with other trades. Does it, smear them a little bit? Yeah, I mean, absolutely it does, because and I think rightfully so, but the NFL has no recourse, because at the end of the day, the Ravens have their story and there's no way to disprove it. Like if they're like, hey, we're not comfortable with the knee, we can call it whatever it is, whatever we believe it is, what every other team believes it is, but their story is their story. And unless you have, so here's how I viewed it. When it was reversed, initially, of course, I was stunned. I'm like, wow, that's, never heard of anything like that happening. Everybody across the league was talking about it. It was text messages, it was like agents, front offices, coaches, like everyone's like, what happened here? How does this, how could this possibly take place? Everybody's got their I's dotted or T's crossed before you ever offer 2 first-round picks for an injured player. Everybody knows the timeline. I will just say this, like when I stared at it, and I think it's like this for most teams, most front offices that are very seasoned and have gone through their own sort of process of trading for players, signing free agents. What changed clearly outside of Max Crosby was we went through one day of free agency, and all of a sudden Trey Hendrickson, and I'm going to set aside what the Ravens, reasoning is for, we wanted both Trey Hendrickson and Max Crosby, and, whatever the reasoning is. What changed after day one was you had a number of teams across the league who were like, whoa, okay, Hendrickson's still sitting there. He's clearly not getting the contract number that he wants, and we thought he was going to be gunning for, which was going to be something in the neighborhood of like $40 million a year. And once that market was clearly extremely soft for him at that number, it was obvious he was going to make far less in free agency than anybody, really initially thought he was at least going to be shooting for. And the thought process that, hey, there's probably a team, because teams are like this, there's probably a team out there willing to give him this money. So you get through day one, and I don't think there's any question that the Baltimore Ravens saw that his market was clearly soft. And now you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, well, we're taking a risk on Max Crosby, obviously with the knee. Even if we fully understand what we're taking on here, we're taking a risk with the knee. And then on top of that, we're giving up these draft assets. We're giving up the money that ultimately he's going to get paid. And the opposite side of the ledger, once Hendrickson's, number comes in soft, and there's clearly a space to sign him for less than maybe people initially thought, there's an opportunity to add a pass rusher who's not as good in the run game. He's not Max Crosby, but you have the ability to add an asset, not give up a couple of first round picks, not take on the risk of, what could ultimately happen with Max Crosby beyond 2026 with the knee. How viable will he be? If we're looking for viability into 2027, maybe 2028, you're onboarding those questions with Crosby. So really that's what changed, is you saw a valuable asset in free agency that was going to be on clearance in some respects. I mean, he's going to, he's really ultimately going to end up making 25% less than he wanted to on a annual average salary. And he didn't have to give up first round picks. I think across the league, the thought process is the Ravens went through that and said, you know what, we could sign this guy. We could kill this trade over the knee, which maybe we're not as comfortable about as we initially project when we send 2 first round picks. We retain the draft capital. We get a pass rushing piece, and, we don't give up a super valuable 2027, draft pick, which nobody wants to give up those picks right now. And we keep it moving. And so, to me, I kind of feel like that's what other teams across the league, what other front offices who have gone through these kind of processes, what they saw happen and what they suspect kind of went through the minds of the Ravens. Now, the bridge to whether the NFL could do anything about that, whether anyone could even prove it, is that the Ravens have their story. Hey, we took a deeper look at the knee, we didn't feel comfortable with it, we had to move forward. Geez, we wanted both of these guys. I mean, they can say whatever they want at this point. There's really no recourse for the NFL. It's just the way it goes. And, they do have a story to put forward, whether it's truthful or not. That's the story that they can go with. And unless the only way I think realistically anything could be done, and even then I don't think anything would be done, is if someone came out of the Ravens and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to say publicly, we did have conversations about, let's not do this trade because we have this other player who is going to sign for less money than we thought, and we don't have to give up draft picks. So let's go ahead and blow this trade up. That's really what it would take, I think, for this to get any traction at all. Everyone can have the opinion they have about it. I don't think the Ravens really ultimately care how they're looked at, because they know if we have to do business in the NFL and it behooves other teams to do business with us, they're not going to stop from doing business with us because of something like this. And I'll ask you guys, do you think it was the wrong decision? Like that is one thing I don't see a lot of people discussing about this is, would any other NFL team made a different decision if you had rolled out 2 first-round picks for a guy that had a rehab process to go through, that did have questions about his knee, that is not in his mid-20s, he's in his late 20s.
So don't do that. Don't do that.
I understand that, but you know how the NFL operates. You know how teams operate. Like this is, we can talk about, what looks good or, doesn't look good. We can talk about good faith, bad faith. But at the end of the day, most NFL franchises, and by most, I mean 33 of 32, do what is in their own best interest at the end of the day. Do you really truly think other NFL teams, if they thought that was the best course of action to not?
I think Charles Mann muted himself.
I mean, since we can't hear Charles, if he'll still hear us, let me just say
I
that.
can hear you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, let me just say,
I want
Charles,
you guys to identify. I'm asking you to identify the NFL team that would not have done it.
A lot of NFL teams wouldn't have made the trade, would have had some sense of the market for Hendrickson, and would have just done that. And I just don't. I mean, you'll find that the market was softer than you thought. Is it really that big of a difference, that money reduction as compared to giving 2 first-round picks? I think a lot of teams just don't even get themselves in this position.
It's the upfront assessment is fair. Like, I hear what you're saying. You can question, then you got to come out of the gate going, this is just stupid. Like, why would you give up 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby at this point? And I did see some of that. Obviously, when the trade was first made, there were certainly some questions. I was surprised, frankly, that they got 2 first-round picks out of Max Crosby, particularly after going to the combine and hearing everybody talk about the 2027 draft and how, hey, if there are any trades made, everybody wants it to involve 2026 compensation. Nobody wants to give up those 2027 picks right now unless it's just, a kingmaker kind of move. And, there's no doubt. I was definitely surprised. But aside from that assessment, when you've made the move, and I'll also say with Hendrickson, I do think that's a fair criticism. You should have had a better idea of what Hendrickson's market was really going to come out and look like. There's no way I ever thought he was going to get $40 million this season. Sure, he wants that. Sure, there are other players out there that are drawing that kind of a check, not Hendrickson at this point in his career. Like, it just was never happening. And it's part of the reason why, ultimately he hit free agency, was because his own, franchise looked at him and said, there's no way we're going to pay you that kind of money. I don't think, it was, but I've also seen guys go to free agency and thought in my mind, they're never going to get what they're looking for. Like, this is just crazy. And then some team pops up and out of desperation throws money at them. If you had told me on the doorstep of free agency, hey, somebody's going to pop up and they're going to pay Trey Hendrickson, a real legitimate $40 million a year average, I would have said, yeah, because that's how free agency goes. Like, some team gets just nuts, has a bunch of cap room, doesn't know how to spend. Like, look at Tyler Linderbaum. Like, that money at the center position, I mean, it rocked the league. Like, it really did. I mean, to go from making, paying centers $18 to $19 million a year, and then the Raiders are like, hey, let's bump it to 26, 27. That doesn't just blow up the center market in the NFL. Teams across the league are going, what are we paying interior offensive linemen now? Because if we're going to pay a center that, there's going to be guards looking for that kind of money. And if there are centers and guards looking for $26, $27 million a year, offensive tackles are going to go, okay, I need 40. Like, that's where this is going now. Like, if you're going to pay the interior guys this, I'm a left tackle. I'm a first team All-Pro. I'm in my mid to late 20s. The agent's going to say, we're going to start with a 4 and a 0 for an annual average value because of what now you pay centers and guards. So there's always somebody out there willing to pay. I could see the Ravens having the presumption that, like, look, somebody out there is going to pay Hendrickson. We might as well do this deal. It's not a great way to have operated, and certainly that I do think that was too much compensation to give up for him. I don't think any teams were ready to give up, 2 first-round picks. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys were in on it, and they weren't going to do that. It's a bad look for Baltimore. It is, but at the end of the day, it's not going to stop anybody from doing business with those guys. It's just, again, it's one of those things that happens in the NFL. And, the next time a team needs something from the Ravens or has a draft pick on the table that they're interested in or whatever, they're going to do the business with the Ravens and Eric DeCosta, and they're not going to care really how the Raiders got treated, or Max Crosby for that matter.
Interested to see how that all goes. Charles, thanks for being with us. We're going to see if we can send you a Titans jersey that you can walk around the city of Houston with, and just see how that goes.
I'm going to tell you right now, I would not do it. I don't understand, like, the insanity. I don't think people fully will ever really realize, like, how much, like, Bud Adams, like, the hatred that exists in the city of Houston for that move having taken place. And, like, the Texans could win a Super Bowl, there's still going to be people that are mad for the rest of their lives over ultimately that move. And I truly think it says something when JJ Watt comes out and says, like, starts really kind of getting into the kitchen of that whole mess. And people are like, you didn't even play for these guys, and yet you're like hurt to your core. That will tell you how. And also, by the way, it's not like Houston's not. This isn't like it's in some ways a very transient kind of fan base in Houston for all the teams here.
Yeah.
Like, if a team in Houston's not doing well, they don't fill the stadium. Like, there's not like it is a very, like, fair weather kind of situation in a lot of ways. And if a team's doing well, they pack the stadium. If not, people don't show up. So it's not like a, whether you're good or bad, we're always going to be here kind of a situation. So, yeah, I would not wear that. Don't send me.
Okay. We'll see if we can avoid it. I'd love to see it.
I appreciate it. But Robby, what did you tell me I missed yesterday? What was Joe complaining about?
Well, he's worried about the waistband a little bit. There's a lot of food going on at these basketball tournaments. So
buffets open all day. I can't stay away.
Yeah. I mean,
you've seen me at a buffet.
Listen, man, you've seen me 100 pounds lighter than I am now. I mean, granted, over a 25 year span, 30 years span.
It's a long span.
But yeah, I'm with you, man. The buffets don't help me any either. So
we'll get there.
Oh, Joe.
There we go. Charles, Have a
We'll
wonderful
make it.
weekend, my friend. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Appreciate it, guys. Next time I'll wake up for the show. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. Every week here on the program. We'll have TD with us coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
ESPN's Terron Davenport talking Titans now on Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is that time of the week. We head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcoming our friend Terron Davenport from ESPN. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. TD, good morning. How we doing?
Hey, good morning, man. This is not TD. This is Barry White, man. The weather and the allergies got me sounding crazy, but here we are.
Kind of silky smooth in there, TD. I like it. That's good stuff.
You're listening to the chocolate sound that melts in your ears.
Hey, TD's done this before. That's good stuff. Good stuff there. All right, so TD, let's start here. The Titans were nice enough to drop by a nice Jeffrey Simmons jersey this morning in a care package. I love the jerseys. I do. I think that they're good looking. Honestly, I'm trying to decide which one I like better, the home jerseys or the road jerseys. I would say most of the people we've heard from this morning really like them, which anytime you do something like this, it's a very subjective thing. But I ask you, TD, what do you make of the rebrand and the new jerseys for the Titans?
Yeah, I think they're dope. I love the red highlights, that red and what we now refer to as Titans blue, apparently. That looks good, man. I love the combination there. To me, that all white, that's sick. With like the little navy highlights, the stars under the underarm plate, and then the "we" on the collar, and just the strings. I think they did a great job, and it's a result of them just kind of subtly finding out what people like. They put a bunch of different logos in front of fans and some of the players, and just getting a feel for what people liked and what would kind of categorize as something that they wanted. So they came up with that timeless look, and here we are.
Joe's muted. Chalk one up for Rexrode muting himself today.
No, that really stinks. I had some really funny comments about the Barry White thing, and they're not even in the program now. Gosh darn it.
Oh, man.
I know. Well, so like you said, I mean, I agree with you guys. Like, I think they look good. I guess the criticism is, is it Titans? Is it Tennessee enough? Right? Like, it's obviously you look at these, and I think it depends maybe on your age too. Like, I mean, I love the Oilers jerseys. I think they're some of the best ever. That's what I think of when I look at this. But I guess the identity crisis part of this, how much of that have you heard?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that they say, hey, well, we're the Tennessee Oilers again. And I get what they're saying. The jerseys, in fact, the number on the jerseys is the exact same as the Houston Oilers ones. But as far as the Tennessee part, there are some aspects of it, just as far as like basically what happened in Navy became a background color, right? And so you have the 3 stars, which, as we know, are on the Tennessee state flag. Then you have on the breastplate for the away jersey, it says Tennessee, which is to represent Tennessee when they're on the road, right? And then when they're home, it's Titans to represent the organization at Nissan Stadium. You do have also the strings, right? That's on the helmet as the stripe, the strings as a helmet, the stripe on the pants, and it's also on the sleeve. You have that, which is paying homage to the Music City, which is, Nashville. So I think it has its degree. It's not its own individual color scheme like the Navy feature with the the two-tone look, but it's just something they wanted to go to that jersey. They're proud of that because they feel that only their team is the only one that has that shade of blue, and I mean, I think it's fresh. It's a nice rebrand. They said they wanted to kind of go along the lines of the Milwaukee Bucks and Toronto Raptors when they did their rebrand in 2015 and just have what they consider to be a classic, timeless piece.
So, TD, obviously, it's been a very busy week for the Titans here. I want to ask you specifically about what they've done at corner in the secondary, and particularly with Flott and Alontae Taylor coming in. What do you make of those two together, that combo that will be starting for the Titans coming up?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would imagine when they're in base, with 2 corners out there, those would be the guys. They pretty much they restocked the cabinet. That's the way I look at it. And Alontae Taylor, he's a guy that to me really exemplifies what Robert Saleh wants, right? As far as the fast and physical, aggressive. I mean, that guy bumped into the nickel, and man, he lit up last year. So I would imagine when they go to sub, he'll bump into the nickel. Remember, they added Joshua Williams too, a long corner, so that works. And you add that to Michael Robinson, and you look at Marcus Harris, who was at the jersey reveal yesterday. It's a nice group. It's a solid group, and I think they're in good shape. They added, a couple young corners, young ascending players, and obviously you got to pay a little bit for that. And they did, but they filled what was considered an area for improvement.
So TD, as you look at everything now, and they've done quite a bit. I mean, to me, they've solidified, a lot of spots, done a lot of necessary adds here. Do you look at their free agency work and projected it all to the draft? Do you feel like you have a better grasp for what they might draft, or is it still, look, I mean, there's still a number of ways you can still go at 4?
Yeah, I think there's still a number of ways. There's 4 different players that, if they come in outside of those 4, I'll be absolutely shocked. I would say Sonny Styles is a wild card, but I mean, you look at the pass rushers, Ruben Bain, David Bailey, Avril Reese, and then Jeremiah Love is there. And I think those are the 4. Actually don't think those are the 4 top players on their board. And they would be thrilled with any of those 4. So they're in a really good situation. If they want to, maybe they could trade back if they see a guy may fall, 1 or 2 spots. But they're in a good place where they can stay put and get a guy they really like.
TD, what do you think of what they've done up front on the defensive line? Obviously, John Franklin Myers being the big one, but now at this point, like basically the rotation that they've been able to add there this week.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Solomon Thomas, you look at Jordan Elliott, you look at Jamal Martin, Jacob Martin rather. They signed guy Jacob Martin. I like him on the outside. I think he's solid. Now, look, man, I'm not calling him, Nick Benito or Derek Thomas or anybody, but the guy will give you somewhat of a presence off the edge in that rotation. But to me, they got guys that they're familiar with. They got guys that are penetrators, quick upfield type of players, and that's what Robert Saleh wants in his front, right? He wants an attacking, upfield rushing type of defense. It's also stout against the run, and I think they really helped themselves. And I know you mentioned other than Franklin Myers pairing him with Jeffrey Simmons, but like that's a tandem that you can't overlook. Like that's going to be a problem for opposing teams.
Right now, TD, if you had to make a call on who's starting at center and right guard for the Titans next year, who would that be? And how do you assess just the overall quality of this offensive line at this point?
Okay, good question. Right now, I think Jackson Slater wins either that center job or right guard. I think he's going to win one of those, probably the right guard situation if they don't sign Zeitler. And then, of course, that being said, it points to Slopeman being the center. And, I mean, he filled in apparently pretty well for John Michael Schmidt up there with the Giants when he was hurt. But, I mean, we'll see, gauging from, talking to some of the Giants, like Jordan Rodman and some of the others that I know, he essentially was like a Corey Levin, a guy that was reliable when he had to jump in and start. He just never got a consistent starting job. And that's obviously Corey Levin, who has since moved on to the Falcons.
Yep, absolutely. Well, TD, we enjoyed it as always. A nice touch this morning with the smooth voice, bringing it to the table. We appreciate your time as always, and have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, no problem at all, man. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Terron Davenport with us every Friday morning at 8 o'clock. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. We'll react to what TD had to say. We got Burke Nihill from the Titans coming up at 8:30. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Tonight, Vanderbilt baseball hosts LSU at Hawkins Field. First pitch at 6 o'clock. Catch all the action on 102.5 The Game. Coverage presented by Gary Force Acura. Conference play beginning for Vanderbilt in the SEC tonight, so looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We'll have Burke Nihill with us coming up here in about 10 minutes. President and CEO of the Titans, taking your thoughts on the Titans NFL free agency at 615-737-1025. You know, they've developed quite a rotation here, Joe, when it comes to what they've added on the defensive front. So that part of it is going to be, I mean, they've been very busy on the defensive side of the ball this week. Not as busy on the offensive side. You know, the Jackson Slater part of this is going to be really interesting. You know, PK came out with a piece at his site yesterday talking about how Jackson Slater could be basically like the real test, the case study of the draft and develop approach that Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker are taking here. So we'll see if he's ready for either playing center or playing right guard. But you heard it there from TD, Joe. You know, right now, based on where their roster is today on March the 13th, you know, he might be the favorite to win one of those jobs. And then you just kind of hope the other players that you've signed to this point in free agency are good enough to patch it together. Definitely, if you're a Titans fan, though, like you're looking at those two spots at the moment, center, right guard, and that's without even getting into, you know, what's going on at right tackle and left tackle. But you're looking at those two spots right now with a great deal of skepticism would probably be the kind way to put it.
Yeah, to me, that's easily the most disappointing part of free agency. I understand, just like what Charles was saying, it's crazy, the money that's now going to interior offensive linemen. But again, in a league with the cap like this, it's hard for me to even really get all that excited about like almost any number anymore in the NFL, right? It's just like this is where it's going to go. So I think the Titans needed to get in there and sign a legitimate, established, quality starting center. Slater, there's excitement about him. We've seen that work out well. We've seen that work out poorly. I think TD hit it there, though. Like, he's going to have a lot of opportunity to demonstrate that he should have one of those spots. Okay, that's fine. You hope it works out, and then you still have the question, and potentially, again, it sounds like probably more likely he would be the right guard, and you've got basically a career backup center. I mean, if he is, as TD said, he was the Giants' version of Levin, is he better than Levin? Because if he's not, then you pair that with questions at left tackle. Sure, left tackle's better, but it's not, I wouldn't call it good. And right tackle, I think there's some optimism it can get better. Left guard's good. You have that, and you then right now take the relatively small amount of help to the skill positions, with one obvious exception, and it hasn't been a great offseason so far for the Tennessee Titans offense.
Yeah, and obviously the draft going to change some of that, but at this point, I'd be, I guess, surprised if they don't keep Calvin Ridley. I just think it makes a lot of sense where their receiving room is at this point. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. I mean, the offensive line, it's important regardless of how you view it, but I think with where they're at right now, it becomes all the more important that J.C. Latham truly did figure some things out at the end of this past season and gets better and more comfortable in the offseason. The interesting part of that is, like, if they don't bring Zeitler back, and let's say it is Jackson Slater that ends up winning the right guard job. Well, PK's talked about this like all offseason long. Like, he would really like to see, and he thinks the Titans would like to see, Latham have a veteran guy next to him at the right guard spot. Well, if he doesn't, and it's Slater, and you're talking about a young player in Slater and then a third-year guy in Latham at that point, how does that impact things? Like, what sort of a difference does that make? I mean, look, I want the best player there, so I don't really care if they're, a veteran or they're young. But PK's made that point multiple times this offseason that the Titans want a veteran guy next to him at right tackle, right guard.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. So Okay. So maybe it's Zeitler or somebody else, and that's the plan. And then you plug that in.
Where does this Cordell Volson signing? Where does he fit in the interior offensive lineman shuffle?
I mean,
he's been a starter.
He has started
48 starts.
Yeah,
he has 50 career games. Yeah.
Now he didn't play last year, so there's
shoulder.
that.
I looked it up. It was a shoulder injury.
Okay, so you're talking about a shoulder injury that kept him out all of last year. He has started, as Ian pointed out, 48 games. So 48 of the 50 games he's played, he's been a starter. Is that what you're rolling with at right guard to start the season?
Could be.
Because he's played mostly left guard,
yes,
from what I can tell, in Cincy.
And he ain't playing left guard here. So, yeah.
So, can he move over to the right side?
I don't know. They at least have some
where
options.
He fits.
Yeah, they have options and flexibility with what they've done, which is good. Competition, that's good.
Yeah.
But you also have I just like known commodities, right? More than what they have. And again, especially just center. I understand. It was pretty much dismissed out of hand that they were going to try to get into the Linderbaum thing. The number's crazy. I get it. He wasn't the only one though. And some of these other teams have signed more known commodity starting centers for more money, and you can't change it now. But I think that would be, if there's a misstep so far in the free agency period, that would be it for me.
We'll be joined by Burke Nihill of the Titans coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. Exciting day for the Titans yesterday. We talked about it throughout the show this morning. And to help us talk more about it, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in President and CEO of the Tennessee Titans, Burke Nihill, to the program. Burke, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. Burke, we've talked about it. Look, I got to say, from the reaction that we've gotten, I think most Titans fans absolutely love the jerseys that were put on display last night. Good job by Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Ward for modeling those. But just from your vantage point, what was the process like kind of putting all of this together, and what do you make of the finished product that you guys put on display last night?
Well, we're proud of the finished product, and it's gratifying to hear from fans who also are proud of it and are responding well to it. Our players have loved it. Cam Ward saw it for the first time on a mannequin and giggled a little bit and turned around and asked where his was so he can put his jersey on. So we're definitely proud of the final product. And these sorts of processes take years. We started thinking about this when it became apparent that a new stadium was a possibility. And if there's ever a time to take a step back and do some soul searching to kind of figure out what resonates most with our fans, with the city, with the state, with our players, with alumni, about this team, where we've been, where we are today, and ultimately what their hopes and dreams for the team would look like. We started that process really high up in the funnel, asking a lot of questions and fan surveys, and we did some pretty specific focus groups along the way to get really into the weeds about what people loved about the team and what it meant to them to be a Tennessee Titan. And over time, this is ultimately what came out of that process. What we heard was that fans and Nashville and Tennessee really wanted their NFL team to represent the state and the city in their branding even more. And so we tried hard to do that. We heard that they loved the throwbacks. The players loved the throwbacks. Our fans loved the throwbacks, but they wanted something in that throwback look and feel that was authentically Tennessee, that was Nashville for the future. And then lastly, they wanted something that was timeless and classic. When we put other logos in front of them, the college teams and professional sports teams, the ones that resonated with them were the ones that where the look and feel and the logos made sense in 1950 and 1980 and will in 2050. And so with all of those objectives in mind, we ended up kind of carving this out of the marble, and we were really proud to show the world last night.
So, Burke, obviously when things like this happen, I mean, some people are not going to be happy. I mean, we talked earlier in the show about the Vanderbilt logo change. There was a lot of anger at the time. It's kind of faded now. As you assess reaction, what is like what's a good hit rate? I mean, I think today we think it's probably 80-20 in favor. What is an acceptance rate that you want to see? And then also the criticism, I think the main criticism I hear is that it very much looks like the Houston Oilers, which are great uniforms, but that's what people think of. They think of the Houston Oilers. I think around the league, there's some people who, obviously get upset when you guys have worn those in the past. What about people who say that?
Yeah, let me start here. I have on my desk a program with Steve McNair wearing a Tennessee Oilers jersey at Vanderbilt. So, that colorway is something that was worn in Tennessee in the earliest days. But I would tell you, we didn't start off trying to land any particular place. At the end of the day, this is about the future, and not anything from our past or even from our legacy. But this was something that just resonated with our fans and with our players. There was a story of a player who, when you think about this, would have played from Pee Wee to high school to college with other pro teams before he got to us, and iconic teams and uniforms all along the way. And after a game playing in the throwbacks, he sat in his locker long after everyone left, not wanting to take his uniform off because he felt so good and felt such pride in that uniform. And that's clearly part of this organization's legacy. Even for those folks that didn't watch the team playing in those jerseys in the original days, I've compared it to this. I was born in the United States, but my family hails from Ireland. And so I've got this legacy.com interest in Ireland, despite the fact that I didn't grow up there. And that's true of this team. For fans or fans of this team here, that's a part of our legacy. But again, this is about the future and about how this team can represent something that this state, this city, our fan base can be proud of, that's distinct. About 25% of NFL teams could take the field any given Sunday in a dark blue color. This is a distinct look that stands out, I think the real test on the hit rate, I would say 80-20 is probably a pretty good hit rate for today. I think the real hit rate is 20-35, 20-45. What does this uniform represent to the next generation of people who love this team and for whom this team is an important part of their lives?
So obviously, Burke, new logos kind of involved with this too. So we've talked a lot about the jerseys, but just kind of the process of selecting the logos that you guys unveiled last night too. What all went into that, and what do you make of what you come up with on that front?
Yeah, I think with the word mark Tennessee Titans, that was a lot of fun. Trying to come up with a way that you can see Titans visually that represents this place really well. And we got a lot of inspiration from the printmaking of this city. Think hat show prints, things that, again, from 1950 to 1980 and to 2050 will be timeless and make sense. So really proud of how that turned out. In terms of the primary logo, to put it in the words of Aaron Swartz, our Senior Vice President of Brand Marketing, we went around the world to end up across the street. We looked at so many different possibilities for the primary logo, and ultimately what felt right was something that felt familiar to this first quarter century playing in Nashville, but something that's just a little bit more classic and evolved. And I'm very, very proud of the secondary mark with the interlocking TN in a football. Again, wanting to represent the state and city so well. It was something that we very intentionally set out to do, was to have a logo that represented the team, but also represented the place that so many people are proud to call home.
What all went into, obviously a big event last night, Burke, a lot of special guests. I mean, I've seen some snippets, but what all went into that? What did we miss? Did Kaharski behave himself, etc.?
I have not heard any reports of Kaharski doing anything other than being on his best behavior.
That's good.
It was a special night. I wish I could name everybody who deserves credit for everything about this moment, from the design of the uniforms to the social media work that went out last night. That was just really pretty special work, I thought. But to the people who put on that event, there was an orchestra. Kyle Brandt was the MC. My favorite moment personally was after the jersey reveal. Cam and Jeff came out, and as they're slapping five with the mosh pit in the front row, they were joined on stage by I don't know how many, 20 plus current players and alumni players. So Jarrell Casey and Wesley Whittier and Delaney Walker come out joining Marcus Harris, some of the free agents we just signed. This was really just kind of a moment, a symbol of this team and our legacy, our presence, and where we're going to go together.
So, Burke, I mean, obviously, every time you drive downtown now, you see the stadium, and it just continues to look like it's growing and getting bigger every time you go down there. What do you make of the progress that's been made on that front, and kind of what stands out to you about where you are in the process with the new stadium?
Yeah, I think this is fun to sit here at this moment as somebody who obviously pays a lot of attention to this team and the things around this team. And, we've been looking ahead to this moment, this 2 or 3 year window where, what if one of the world's great stadiums opens up. That's just this rich, high character stadium that I think will make our fans proud. We have new uniforms that just stand out, that bring a freshness to the team, and then the team gets right, and the team on the field proves it and earns it and makes this city and our fans proud. It feels like there's energy and momentum going toward that moment, and the stadium is going to be, I think, pretty remarkable. We've obviously sent out lots of renderings. People drive by and can see the scale of it, but there's so much more to see over time when you actually get in and breathe the air. It's been a lot of fun to go over there every couple of weeks and see the progress. We've got 2,000 people on site a day. Thank you to all of them for doing such great work. And with 2,000 people, that's a lot of work that happens every single day. And so the progress has just been remarkable. And you can now walk through the concourses and feel the difference. You can walk out onto the terraces and feel it. We have said there's not a bad seat in the house. You can now go stand in the upper corner of the building and see how close you feel to the field. So we've made a lot of progress. We've just passed the 1 year mark. We'll get the keys to the building sometime in probably late February of next year. And it's going to be a real thrill to let people walk through the building and see it and experience it.
So, Burke, I think obviously, like, we're going to get a Super Bowl in Nashville at some point, and that's generally what the NFL does. And why wouldn't we? My question for you is: do you think that we can be part of the rotation, a regular rotation down the road in this new stadium of hosting Super Bowls?
I sure think so. The NFL draft was not a no-brainer for the NFL to send that event here. They very often go back to a lot of the same cities and had kind of a vision for what that event was going to be. And the city with the NTVC and the team did a great job of selling them on how Nashville is actually the perfect canvas for that event. And that event, they still talk about it. I've been a part of meetings that are with a lot of other teams, and they talk about where they bring their flagship events from the draft and the Super Bowl and what they want out of those events. And they hold the draft out as the gold standard of what an event can mean for the league and for a city. And so it's so much more than just the stadium, but the stadium is a prerequisite. And so we will have the stadium in a few years. And I agree with you. I think the Super Bowl will be here as soon as they feel like it's the right time to be here. And if the city does anything close to what it did for the NFL draft, absolutely, you'll be on that short list of those cities that it wants to come back to.
Well, Burke, it's an exciting time, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. Congratulations on everything going on right now. I think the jerseys look great. Really appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Burke Nihill, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, president and CEO of the Tennessee Titans. A lot of your thoughts on the jersey, on the brand redesign for the Tennessee Titans. We'll get into that. We'll look ahead to Tennessee and Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament. All coming up in our final segment. That's next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's quickly head to our phone line. Welcome in Nate to the program. Nate, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, guys. Y'all were discussing earlier in the show about how the NFL usually has a big reaction to the Titans wearing Oiler-esque uniforms. With it being their main uniform now, how do y'all think the reaction will be throughout the season?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you for the call. I mean, it won't be good in Houston, I can tell you that. I mean, look, I think everybody else, Joe, I think is going to get used to it and it'll be fine. And I think most people are going to look at it and say, yeah, it's a pretty sweet-looking uniform. I don't know that the people involved in Houston will really ever get over it. But that's all the more reason for me to wear it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, obviously, I think there will be. I think I see it already. I just like NFL reporters around the league. Some of them like really get ticked off about this. I know like Joe Shad in particular just he rages about this every chance he gets. I think there's going to be, but yet, like you're right. Over time, it's like it'll just become the norm. But some people will definitely have a problem with it.
Look, in summary, I think they look good. I think most of the people we've heard from today really like it. The logo, I think will take some time to get used to, but the jerseys themselves, I think really look good. And I'm excited to watch them on the field. We'll see, if more winning is involved with it. That's ultimately what matters here. Joe, we got a couple minutes left here. Tennessee and Vanderbilt coming up in the SEC tournament today. What do you make of that matchup, which will be the rubber match this season? I mean, I think, unless they, play each other in the tournament again, between Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
True. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the day. Friday is usually a really great day of this week. You go look at the Big 12 as they switch to wood now. Oh, gee, maybe we shouldn't have some LED stupid court that
Al Natural is better
from awesome basketball and gets people hurt. But they got like a Final Four of that league today. And here in Nashville, we got some great games, Kentucky, Florida. But obviously the marquee event for us is Tennessee Vanderbilt. I'm excited for it. I think the thing to watch. We have not really seen it a lot. We saw it some in the Nashville meeting, but Chandler Bing on Nate Ament as the Vanderbilt attempted answer to try to slow him down. I mean, he carried them yesterday. If he didn't have an incredible game, play 32 minutes when we weren't sure if he was going to play at all, they would have lost by double figures to Auburn.
No doubt. Going to be a fun game today. We'll see what that looks like between Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Preds with a big one over the weekend against Edmonton on the road after they dropped one last night in a shootout to the Vancouver Canucks. More reaction throughout the day today to the Titans changing uniforms, changing logos, and continuing to break down NFL free agency. A lot going on this week, and we'll have you covered all day long here on 102.5 The Game. Joseph, behave yourself at the SEC tournament. Have some good food.
I'm going to have a lot of calories, and on Monday morning, we will have a bracket, my friends.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Enjoy the weather this weekend. We'll be back at it on Monday morning. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.